Yes.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, meeting will please come to order. This is a duly advertised meeting of the Joliet Zoning Board of Appeals. In our capacity, we hear petitions for relief from the strict provisions of our city ordinance. In matters of this type, the decision of this board is final. In respect, it does not go to the mayor or the city council for any further action. If you disagree with our decision, you do have recourse in a court of record. We also hear petitions for variations of land use. In matters of this type, we act as an advisory committee to the mayor and city council, making a recommendation either for or against it. The final decision on land use is made by the mayor and the city council. Secretary, pull the board, please.
Ms. Safford? Here. Mr. Alessio?
Here.
Mr. McShane?
Here.
Mr. Noctree?
Here.
Mr. Riggs?
Here.
Ms. Rohr? Here. Mr. Hennessy?
Here.
First thing, this was found downstairs, if this looks familiar to anyone, this light blue binder. Apparently it has some information in it for this meeting. Here. First order of business after that would be approval of minutes from last meeting.
Motion would be in order.
So move.
Second.
Pull the board, please.
Mr. Alessio?
Aye.
Mr. McShane?
Aye.
Mr. Noctree?
Aye.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Ms. Safford?
Abstain.
Ms. Rohr?
Abstain.
Mr. Hennessy?
Aye.
Next order of business would be citizens to be heard on agenda items. We do allow you to speak on agenda items at this point in our agenda, but we will also let you speak when the item is called on the agenda further down. But if you wanted to speak on an agenda item at this time, you can do so for 4 minutes. Seeing none, we can move on to old business. Okay.
All right, well, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Vince Logan. I'm with the County Board District 7. I'm speaking in regards to petition 2023-30.
Swear him in. Swear him in.
Are you speaking in on,
He wants to
Is this
speak on
open
an
statement or is
agenda
this-
item now.
is this permitted on the,
Yes,
should he be sworn in?
yes. I think so. Do they have to be sworn
Is this
in?
open comments or is this?
No. He doesn't have to be sworn in. He could
I
speak.
didn't
though.
think so. Go ahead. Thank
Sorry.
you.
All right, well, thank you once again. Once again, I'm in Vince Logan, County Board District 7, which regards to petition 2023-30, special use permit allowing the fuel facility located at 2571 and 2573 Plainfield Road. I was at a meeting Monday in regards to this with the neighbors and the project people and the owners. I am representing Sunnyland neighbors who are to the north and the east of that facility, and Crystal Lawns, which is from the south and the west. Some major issues that they were brought to attention was the traffic issues with that. During your consideration, think of the traffic issues. Also, the truck noise was an issue that was brought up. Surrounding wells was a big contention. That area is surrounded by unincorporated Will County, which uses wells. Gas runoff, chemical runoff could affect and eventually go into the ground, causing obviously major problems with their wells. In regards to the projects and the owners, they really didn't have an idea for an egress where the place is being built. They didn't have any idea how they're gonna get their vehicles out, and they didn't even own the property that would use the egress. The people there, from what I could hear, are not opposed to something going in there. They just don't want anything that deals with chemicals. And once again, their big issue is that everything around there is well. And the project engineer and the owners, as far as I could tell, didn't really have an emergency plan in place. So when it comes time to 2023-30, I hope you consider that. I know there's a lot of people that couldn't be here today. There are some in the audience right now. I'm sure we'll talk about it. But I just want to let you know, as a County District 7 board member, my job is to represent the residents in that area. And to my knowledge, I didn't have anybody that came forward. And I probably got no less than 40 messages from the surrounding people. So Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, Robin Caldwell. I am pastor at St. John Lutheran Church at 2650 Plainfield Road. And I am also talking on that same petition. I think it's 2023-30, the special use permit to allow a fueling facility located at 2571 and 2573 Plainfield Road. First of all, I want to say that I was at the meeting and we hosted the meeting, so I was grateful to have our neighbors come and speak their concerns. We also, the developer and the engineering firm who were there presenting, were very gracious in listening to everything, and were very patient and tried to be helpful. But we did feel like we were pretty discouraged, I think, when leaving, just because we know we need gas stations. Most of us have cars, and living in the suburbs is a fact of life, but we just don't think that this is the appropriate place to put it. And I'm speaking on behalf of myself, but also this week at our church council meeting, the church council voted unanimously that I come speak for us, for our congregation being neighbors, and also for our neighbors and the concerns that I heard at this meeting 2 days ago that we hosted. You know, what people want is a good quality of life. You know, as a churchgoer and as a pastor, that's what I try to offer people in coming to a congregation like ours. It's also, people want a high quality life where they live. And so there are people who live very close to this property, and even their property lines touch it. So this will directly affect their quality of life. And generally just people in the area everywhere are very anxious and very busy. And I don't think that this will improve the quality of the lives of people who are passing through and the people who are even using the facility. The residences will have to deal with more light pollution and noise pollution, fumes from the gases, safety as far as people turning a lot more left-hand turns. I don't think there's a proposed light there, and there's no light existing. So it'd be just more traffic turning in and out of a very busy straightaway anyway. People are on well water, and so they're concerned that there could be some leakage possibilities, you know, that would get into their drinking water. For the people driving through, I'm concerned for their safety. Like I said, I think there's possibility of more accidents on and off of Route 31 when there's nothing controlling the traffic there. And I'm concerned for people who would, if this was to go in as it is designed, who would solicit this business, because the circulation on the plan is not very clear and not very cohesive, not very direct. So I think it comes down to what kind of a community do we want to create? We know this is zoned business B3, so we don't really have any delusions that this is going to be a park or that it's going to be a school or something like that. We know it's business, but what other use could we put there? Something where there's fewer cars that will be going in and out and in and out and in and out. We've also told that there would be gambling inside of it, and that does not support high quality community and quality of life. I've also been told, and I'm not sure, I didn't see this in writing anywhere, but if they have liquor sales, you know, and convenience stores, food is just unhealthy. So how is this raising the quality of anyone's life? How can we imagine in this opportunity with this blank slate, what could we use this land for that could raise the quality of life for people who live and drive by this space? That is a better question I think we should consider. How can we better serve the neighborhood? How can we better serve the people passing through? If it is still under consideration to be a gas station, if the zoning board feels that that's an appropriate choice, use of this land, I really think that the design needs to be looked at much more closely. There needs to be wider landscape buffers and fencing. Large plant materials should be specified to be placed in those areas, particularly between residential and where the lights and the gas station will be, where the traffic will and headlights will be shining into the homes of the existing people who are there. Right now, there's a right in off of a Plainfield Road, but no right out. So you would have to drive in, and you had to drive all the way back to the one exit out of the space. And so I feel like that would be a lot of congestion. There is the diesel pumps. The trucks coming in would have to make a U-turn to drive through, as was explained to us 2 days ago. I think that's just going to cause more congestion, more frustration, more anxiety. People are busy, more accidents. And also, there's a drive-through on it for what I understand is a pizza place, a Sbarro Pizza Slice. I like Sbarro pizza, but looking at the drive-through, it exits, as I understand it, right into the fuel pumps. So it just seems like it's a mess waiting to happen, and these considerations need to be discussed if it does go forward with this use. So there's a lot of issues at different levels, and we feel that there needs to be further conversation. So I hope you consider these comments as well as many others that will come forward today. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Dawn Mayo. I also am talking in regards to petition 2023-30. I am actually, my property is backed up directly to the field where they're going to place this. I have well water. Monday's meeting, they stated that they were going to have a dual flex tanks that are 100% not leakable. Nothing is 100%. But my also concern is all of us in this room have been at gas stations. There's oil on the ground. There's gas spilled every time you move the gas hose from your car to the pump. So when it rains, where does that water go? That goes into my water table. That goes into the water I'm bathing in, I'm making pasta in. And it's just not me. It's the entire neighborhood. There's kids. So yes, okay, nothing happens. They're gonna get insurance if something does happen. But if 10 years down the road, I end up getting sick or kids end up getting sick, so they have insurance to pay for it, these people are still sick. These people are still gonna be sick. You can't guarantee. It makes total sense to put a gas station, you know, on a city property. It is not common sense to put chemicals near wells. It's just not common sense. I feel that if they put a restaurant, they're gonna use the land for something. It's just sitting there. Whoever owns it wants profit. We understand that. Put a restaurant, put a gaming facility, put anything you want, but the chemical portion of it is, you know, it's a what if. And honestly, again, it could be as safe as possible, but I've been to a gas station and so has everyone else in this room, and there is stuff all over the ground. There's oils from the car, and that is going to go into my water table. It is 100%. It's gonna rain, it's gonna snow, and whenever that melts, it's going in my water table. So I appreciate your time. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Hi, my name is Leslie Grimes. I'm talking about the same petition. And I asked the young man Monday, what are you bringing to Crystal Lawn? You want to put a truck stop? If trucks use it, it is a truck stop, no matter how you call it, and a gas station there. What are you actually bringing for us? He told me a restaurant and a truck stop. I told him we have 2 gas stations on either block. So we have that. We have a gas station, it's 2 of them, right there and right there. The food I don't have a problem with. What I do have a problem, because I am directly across the street. I didn't save my money all this time so I can have a better quality of life for me and my grandchild. To have a truck stop across from me, everybody knows what goes on in truck stops. Everybody knows what kind of element that brings. There'll be lights on all night. You'll have cars parked there. Even if they do close at 12, you still have cars parked there. You'll have drugs there. A safety concern. My child plays in the front yard. And that's just not right. I don't have a problem with them bringing something. I don't have a problem with that, because the land's just sitting there. But a truck stop, them big trucks, the man told me that they don't even have a street light for the traffic. He's trying to get the traffic, but he's not bringing nothing to Crystal Lawn but a truck stop. It's plenty of places. We used to have a truck stop all the way down on 30. That didn't last. This is our home. This is where we live at. I saved all my life so I could have a nice home. And then come along and put a truck stop there and the gasoline things would be right in front of my driveway. You can't tell me somebody coming speeding in and out that they're not gonna hit me or my child, or they might just come on across the street. Anything could happen. He didn't say they're having 24-hour security with something like gaming, which they're trying to go after. We have a Miss Betty's down the street. We have another one right there. We have liquor stores on each corner. That's not something we need. I moved all the way out there so I can have a safe life, whatever time I have left. I don't want to do, you know, please think about it. If this was your home and you didn't saved and did this, would you want that? I don't care about a building being put there. Looking forward to a restaurant. But not gas. I didn't even realize I had well water until after I bought the place. But I have it, and I don't want nothing in there. I already have enough problems with it. Please, please, think of yourselves and what you would do for you and your children. That's all I'm asking. Give us a fair break, because I saved a long time to buy this house. I saved and I worked my butt off. And I want my quality of life that I chose to have. And I don't want to look out my window and see all them elements just sitting over there doing drug transactions, loud music. After 9 o'clock, everything on that street shuts down. Everything shuts down by 9 o'clock. It's peaceful, it's quiet. The man told us 12 o'clock. And I said, you're still gonna have people in the parking lot doing drug transactions. I don't do drugs, so I don't wanna be a part of that life. And I don't want all that stuff just looking at me every day. That's not right. A truck stop, you can call it a gas station, but if it's selling fuel to big trucks, it's a truck stop. Please think about yourselves as well as us. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, my name is Richard Boyd, 2574 Crystal Drive. My concern is all these gas stations from Larkin Avenue or Theodore Street all the way out to Costco's, which is I-55. We've got 7 gas stations. I don't think we need another one. I mean, look at these are all red. These are all gas stations. Why do we need another gas station in between all these? So I would hope that you guys would look into it a little bit further and tell them no. Thank you.
Should we clarify that they can speak on this?
Did.
Yeah, no, because there's 7 other agenda items.
Well, I'm Tom Mayo, I'm a resident.
That happened.
It's on borders on the property of the petition 2023-30 special use permit is applying for. I'm not sure if any of you are aware of this, but when we moved in 30 years ago, I was told by Andy Doyle that Mr. Schnook, the farmer, placed in that west corner some drainage tiles because it was a low-lying land. He put drainage tiles in that property to drain his field into the creek. The drainage tiles go under my house, Doyle's house, and a couple houses across the street towards the creek. I'm not positive how deep those drainage tiles are, but I've talked to Andy about those tiles because I noticed there was holes in my crawl space and I dropped rocks and I could hear there's water. He told me that story about the Schnooks putting in those drainage tiles to make the land more suitable and desirable for building. They dumped in about 7 or 8 feet of fill on that corner to make it level with the highest part of the property that they were working with. That was over on Kellogg and 30. I think that if there's any, not even if the tanks are leaking, the fuel tanks, but just the runoff and the spilling and all of that has a very short way to go underground to make that drainage tiles. And those tiles are not far from our well water supply, which are shallow well water, 60 feet down only. So I'd just like to be aware that there are drainage tiles in that field. That land was built up to make it that height. And I'm opposed against a chemical plant or any type of heavy use chemicals, ethylene glycols, benzenes, any of those cancer causing things in my neighborhood. There are, a man before me stated there are 7 gas stations from the new Speedway over at Renwick all the way down to Shell. In between there's the Speedway, smaller Speedway on the 6 corners. There's a BP and then another Circle K. There's plenty of gas stations, and I don't think we needed this. Thank you.
Hi, I want to thank the board for allowing concerned citizens such as myself to speak on this important matter. My name is Dr. Jessie Young, and I live across the street from this proposed gas station location. In my role as a healthcare provider, for over 15 years, I've been a champion of human health and safety. As a certified pollinator steward with a property that has been designated a certified conservation area, I'm an advocate of the environment and the living creatures that depend on it. Today, I'm going to briefly discuss my list of concerns related to having a gas station that is within mere feet of residences in my community. First and foremost, there are health concerns related to gas stations, especially within a 600-foot radius. Cancerous emissions of volatile chemicals, the compound BTEX, related to vapors are up to 10 times higher within this radius. Clusters of gas stations, which this one would contribute to, have been shown to increase cancer rates of residents in that area. Living in close proximity to a gas station is also associated with increased rates of childhood cancers, such as leukemia, brain cancer, and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Adverse pregnancy outcomes, including congenital heart defects, kidney defects, chromosomal abnormalities, and fetal deaths, asthma hospitalizations, diabetes, and end-stage renal disease. As if this all weren't enough, the members of the surrounding community are all on well water. While this company has reassured us that their equipment is 100% effective and has no chance of leaking gas into the water table, no piece of equipment and no person that runs it is perfect. Contamination of our groundwater would be catastrophic. There are also other safety considerations that must be taken into account. Gas stations are one of the structures that have been proven to generate or attract crime. For instance, in Chicago, a study has shown that the person that lives within 213 feet of a gas station is 4.6 times more likely to be a victim of robbery. Gas stations, especially ones that will have a restaurant and gaming area such as this one, increase the traffic volume and would impose a greater risk of motor vehicle accidents in a residential area that contains an elementary school. The local environment, including my conservation habitat, would also be at risk if this gas station were to be built. Soil, surface water, groundwater, and air are all contaminated by gasoline spills, leaks, and improper disposal of gasoline. The creek that runs through the area and the backyard of the neighbors and myself has a high possibility of contamination. Soil near gas stations is consistently found to be contaminated with gasoline components such as the toxic chemical benzene. These chemicals have the same effects on wildlife as they do human, putting their health and safety at risk. Property values also suffer when there's a gas station close by. The closer the gas station is, the more negative the impact on housing prices. If a house was within a 300-foot radius, research shows that a 16% reduction in housing prices occurs. Within 300 and 1,900 feet, the reduction was 9%. Gas stations increase noise levels due to idling cars, increased traffic, loud car stereos, and loitering, which will all decrease the quality of life of nearby citizens and impact wildlife. The light pollution would also negatively affect the quality of life of residents and wildlife, as the majority of them sleep at night and enjoy looking at the night sky. In conclusion, while gas stations are a necessary component of modern living, the risks of having one so close to residences far outweigh any benefit. The best research available recommends that gas stations be placed no closer than 1,000 feet next to any residence, and this one would share a backyard fence. Myself and my community members have strong concerns related to this gas station, especially in relation to health, safety, crime, traffic, and environmental impact. I have confidence that all of our voices and concerns will be taken into consideration when making a decision on this extremely important matter. And if any of you are interested in my references, I have a QR code here. Would anyone like one?
Sure.
Yeah, we'll take one.
Yeah, okay. I just like to back up.
Yeah, you can pass them to her. She'll pass them to
I always like to back up my statements with research. You want one?
Yeah.
You can just give us, we'll pass them down.
Okay, sounds good.
I don't
Thank you so
make you
much.
walk.
Can I just
Yeah,
keep
yeah,
one
yeah,
in case
here.
anyone wants to? All
Here you go.
right, thank you very much, everybody.
Moving on to we got to. Okay.
Hi, my name is Patricia Desiderio, and I live on Lake Shore Drive. I'm much further than most of these people who are in this room. We saw the bulletin, the boards up on Plainfield Road and investigated what was going on. I think if more people could read that sign as they were driving down the road 40 miles an hour, there would be more people here at this meeting to object to this gas station. They're saying it's not a truck stop, that it's just going to have places for the trucks to get their fuel. We lived in Shanahan, and before the big interchange at 6 and 55 was completely redone, the people that bought Casey's, and they said they were going to have places for trucks, and the residents objected to this. And the developers assured us that it would not be like the same one that was in Minooka, which was what our fear was. And they were right. It was not like the one in Minooka. It was worse. I could not go to work in the morning without encountering a truck that was blocking Route 6. Trucks turned around in residential driveways. They turned around in business driveways. I mean, if they think nothing of turning around their truck in our national cemetery, they're not going to think twice about turning around in a neighborhood. The truck traffic is probably my biggest concern in that area, which is busy. And the city of Joliet has been working hard to acquire businesses, and they've done a great job. We have a lot of new businesses there, and now the mall has been sold. And we hope that all this keeps increasing and that it becomes more attractive to people to come to that area. And I think if they have to encounter trucks like everyone is encountering down on the south side of Joliet, you won't see that. They'll turn around and they'll go somewhere else. I'm asking you to reject this proposal. Thank you.
Yes. Again, I don't want somebody to feel like they don't get to talk. I tried to explain that this is an opportunity to talk, but we will call the agenda item, and I'll read the staff report, and there's additional opportunity to speak at that time, too.
I understand. Yeah, I'm in here with petition 2023-30. I live across the street from this. My backyard is going to be facing the front of this. And as you stated, a lot of these people have touched on things that I wanted to speak about, but I just wanted to add a couple things. They were telling us that their capture rate, I guess there's 22,000 cars that go up and down this road. Their capture rate initially said 10%, which means 2,200 cars, and he dropped it down to 5%. This is an intersection where if you're leaving my neighborhood to make a left to head towards the mall, you can be there anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. And that's with normal left-hand traffic as we have it now that's turning into where the gas station is going to be. That is going to substantially increase our time trying to exit our community to go to where we need to be. Also, we're wondering about the property values for the surrounding homes to this. He advised me that they have built in situations like this before where the property values have not decreased. I just find that hard to believe. Also, as far as the existing gas stations that we have, I guess based off their research, all the rooftops and the traffic, that there's more gas to be sold. I just find it hard to believe that if one store is doing 500,000 a month, another store is doing 500,000 a month, that they're not going to bite into that amount. It's just like they're just be siphoning from them. And then also where I live, I have more opportunities to buy gas than I do groceries. I don't need another opportunity to buy gas. So I'm just asking you to do the right thing. Thank you.
I just have a short statement.
Okay.
My name is James Harris. I'm new to the community. I hope to live out the remainder of my years here in Crystal Lawns. My daughter, son-in-law, and granddaughter have lived in Crystal Lawns about 2 years. This statement is from my 15-year-old granddaughter, who's a freshman at Plainfield Central. My name is James Harris. Did I say that? Okay, in regard to the proposed truck stop, first point, traffic. What is in place to protect residential areas around this and access to the road? Second point, that was the first point. Second point, residential areas. What happens if there is a fuel leak, pollution around our children, surrounding wells that not only provide drinking water but also hygiene, noise pollution, increased crime. We all know about truck stops, right? Noise pollution, increased crime, carbon footprint. Hello, Al Gore. Hello, John Kerry. How is this going to affect climate change? What is this bringing to our neighborhood? What is this providing to our families and our communities? Elementary schools incredibly nearby. Third point, necessity. Due to the surrounding gas stations, why would this be important? Why would a truck stop be so far away from a highway? Consider the proximity of the highway and the truck stop, especially during winter. This will also bring heavy, unnecessary traffic, increased stress and mental illness to those around it, and not to mention heavy noise pollution. Truck stop is 9.7 miles from here, another 15 miles away. Conclusion, unnecessary, poor location, inconvenience to residents of surrounding neighborhood, crime rates, brings pollution to a clean, healthy, and friendly community. The end. My granddaughter's name, Ava Madison. She's 15 years old. This was written by her, no help from anybody. Thank you very much.
Okay, moving on to the next item on the agenda, old business for public hearing.
Do you want to announce any petitions that have been withdrawn so that people won't have to stay?
Well, this first one is withdrawn on this old business portion, the special use permit to allow a car and truck rental facility located at 2528 West Jefferson Street. That has been withdrawn. 2023-20 special use permit to allow a self-storage facility located at 414 Rowell Avenue. The applicant for that is Harris Investments LLC, Rowell Storage Series. The owner is the same. The location is 414 Rowell Avenue. The request is a special use permit. Purpose of this request, the petitioner is requesting a special use permit to allow a self-storage facility located at 414 Rowell Avenue. Per the City of Joliet zoning ordinance, self-storage facilities are allowed as special uses within the I-1 zoning district. The mayor and city council will make the final decision on this special use request with the advice of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Site-specific information, the subject site is 8.28 acres and comprises several parcels east of Rowell Avenue at 4th Avenue and Florence Avenue. Site currently contains a concrete block building used as a maintenance shop for Joliet U Pullet, which is owned by the petitioner, a single-family home, and the vacant concession stand for the former Joliet Beach Club. The east side of the site is undeveloped and has existing trees. Property is currently zoned I-1 light industrial, R2 single-family residential, and County C6 recreation commercial. Following related requests are scheduled to be reviewed by the Plan Commission later this afternoon at their meeting. Approval of a preliminary and final plat of Rowell Storage Subdivision, the annexation of 420 Rowell Avenue and classification to I-1 zoning, reclassification of the R2 parcels to I-1 zoning, and a vacation of an unused right-of-way portion within the site. Under surrounding zoning, land use and character, to the north is I-1 light industrial and with an industrial use. To the south is County C6 recreation commercial, pond, and city I-2 general industrial undeveloped zoning. To the east is I-2 general industrial with undeveloped and industrial uses there. To the west is R2 single-family residential, and those are residential uses there. Ordinance must be submitted with future development plans. Development impact fees and water and sewer connection fees will be required. Let's see. Applicable regulations, section 47-13.2A, special uses in the B3 zoning district, prohibited uses in the industrial zoning districts, and the criteria for issuance of special use permit. Under discussion, the petitioner and owner, Harris Investments LLC, is requesting a special use permit to allow development of a self-storage facility on the east side of Rowell Avenue near the southeast corner of Rowell Avenue and 4th Avenue. The proposed self-storage facility includes a main building with climate-controlled indoor storage and 14 additional storage unit buildings. Existing 12,100 square foot concrete block building will be remodeled to contain climate-controlled indoor storage. The area adjacent to the east side of this building will be paved to leave space for a potential building expansion that could include an additional 16,800 square feet. The other 14 buildings, A through N, will contain 558 storage units total. Site access will be from a private driveway off of Rowell Avenue. The gated entrance will be accessible by key card only. Other security measures, including site lighting, cameras, and fencing to enclose the perimeter of the site. Proposed hours of operation are 5 to 10 p.m. The petitioner anticipates there will be around 6 vehicle trips to the site per day. Storage buildings will be required to comply with the city's non-residential design standards, which require masonry materials. For building exteriors within the I-1 district, landscaping and screening will be required adjacent to the residential properties at the west end of the site. Landscaping will also be required along Rowell Avenue and around the storm detention area. As part of the landscape plan, the petitioner is required to complete a tree inventory and tree preservation plan that addresses the replacement of any significant trees that will be removed from the property. A site plan, conceptual landscape plan, and site renderings are attached. The petitioner is requesting approval from the Plan Commission of preliminary and final plats, reclassification of several parcels, right-of-way vacations, annexation of parcel of 420 Rowell Avenue in order to consolidate all of the parcels into one lot. All public improvements will be required by the Public Works and Utilities departments per the city zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations. These improvements include curbs, gutters, street repaving, not sidewalks along Rowell Avenue adjacent to the site. The development will need to meet the site design requirements of the city zoning ordinance and subregs, which include paving and curbing of all parking areas and driveways. A landscape plan that complies with the city's zoning ordinance must be submitted with future development plans. Development impact fees and water and sewer connection fees will be required. If the zoning board desires to approve this special use permit to allow a self-storage facility, here the following conditions would be included. 1, that the design of the buildings comply with the city's non-residential design standards, including the south side wall of the south mini storage building. 2, that the fencing on the west and south sides of the site shall be decorative wrought iron. 3, that no barbed wire fencing shall be permitted. 4, that a landscape plan that meets city ordinance requirements shall be submitted as part of the building permit plan set. That a tree inventory and tree preservation plan that meets city ordinance requirements shall be submitted as part of the landscape plan. 6, our special use timing requirement that it must start within 180 days. And 7, should the property be declared a public nuisance, it shall be subject to a rehearing and a possible revocation of the special use permit And that concludes the staff report.
Petitioner here. Do you swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Name and address, please.
Nathaniel Washburn, 111 North Ottawa Street here in Joliet. I'm with the law firm of KGG LLC, and I represent the applicant, Harris Investments LLC. I believe staff did a good job of summarizing what we're looking to do with this site. As many of you longtime Joliet residents may be familiar, the old Joliet Beach Club property has been vacant for quite some time and is not an ideally suited piece of property to develop given its proximity to the, well, the quarry-filled lake. Not exactly sure what the origin of that is, but it's there and it's not exactly the most pristine ground. It is zoned industrial currently. Different ideas were batted about for this property. In fact, we once had a meeting looking to do a truck parking use. Of course, that was not met with much acceptance due to the proximity of the neighborhood. So we went back to the drawing board. My client tried to come up with, given the existing industrial character, what was a good use that would be compatible with the surrounding and nearby residential, and we felt that mini storage would give the surrounding residential community some benefit while minimizing traffic and keeping things as clean and orderly as possible. I'm here to answer any questions. If there are no questions, we would appreciate a vote in favor to recommend approval to the City Council.
Any questions by the board?
Yeah, I've got one or maybe two. Sorry. The way this neighborhood has been until now, light industrial and residential seem to be all mixed together. Is it, as it appears to be, is it the case that that is improved by this project, that what were occupied houses become part of your compound? Are there any, will there be any houses adjacent to this property?
I believe there will be one house, one or two houses to the north that are immediately adjacent. There were a couple houses that were being rented out that my client owned that we are demolishing as a part of this project. So there will be some residential nearby. However, with the current zoning for the majority of the property already being zoned I-1 industrial, I believe it's I-1, Jim, or is it I-2?
This is I-1.
So with it being already zoned I-1, there are certain uses we could pull a building permit for currently that could be actually more detrimental to the surrounding residential uses. So we tried, as we were coming up with a plan, to come up with a plan that's most conducive to the surrounding residents, knowing that they will remain, again, right across the street. Those residences aren't going anywhere. And, you know, my client did speak to some of the surrounding residential owners to see if they had any interest at the time in, you know, maybe selling their property, and we would have kind of incorporated and factored that in. Those talks didn't end up going anywhere, but we did at least make an effort to try to reach out to some of the neighbors before we brought this plan forward.
So are all the residents now north of this property? Are there any south, for example?
Immediately south is the quarry, pond, lake. I don't believe there are any residential uses to the south.
Okay.
At least not until you get on the other side of the interstate.
It's just the lake, yeah, that's south.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
I'm sorry, yes, one more. Is it the case when the facility is closed, that it's actually closed, that people with key cards cannot get in between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m.?
It's my understanding that one of the conditions is our hours of operation will be capped off at, is it 10 or 10:30, Jim?
We did not put that as a condition. That was our understanding, though.
If it makes the zoning board more comfortable, I don't believe we would have an issue with adding a condition to that effect. Obviously, we would prefer not, just for flexibility's sake. You never know when somebody may have a family emergency and need to get into their stuff, or there's a house fire and they need to deposit things somewhere. But, you know, obviously if it's to be a good neighbor to the surrounding community. If that's a condition that the zoning board deems appropriate, then I believe we would be able to
We
accommodate
got
such a
one
condition.
message from one person who claimed to be a resident of the area who was afraid of activities going on at night.
Yeah, my client has no express intentions of operating at night, I can assure you of that. However, you know, we did discuss some hours of operation. Our intended hours are, I believe, was it 6 a.m. to 10:30?
5 a.m. to 10.
5 a.m. to 10. So we have prescribed hours that we expected to be operational, and if we need to add a condition that key card access will not allow entry after those hours, I believe we could accommodate that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Is there anybody in the audience wishing to speak in favor? Is there anyone opposed? Chair closes the petition, asks the board for discussion and a vote.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the petition. Pull the board.
Mr. McShane?
Aye.
Mr. Noctre?
Aye.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Ms. Rohr?
Aye.
Ms. Safford?
Aye.
Mr. Alessio?
Aye.
Mr. Hennessy?
Aye.
And this will go to City Council June 20th for final action. Moving on through the agenda, we're now into new business for public hearing. The first petition to be called is 2023-24. The applicant owner is Moises Gomez and Nancy Duran. Location is 1321 Arthur Avenue. The request is a variation. Under purpose, the applicant is requesting the following variation to allow an addition to their existing home at 1321 Arthur Avenue. And that variation is to reduce the required rear yard setback from 25 feet to 18.5 feet. Zoning Board of Appeals makes the final decision on this variation request. Under site-specific information, the subject site comprises 2 lots that are 13,393 square feet total and contain a 1.5-story residence built around 1930. The existing home has around 1,600 square feet of living area. The rear part of the existing home was damaged by a tree during a storm in November 2022. When this area of the house was rebuilt to repair the damage, an additional 75 square feet was added to the room. Variation is needed because the existing rear wall is non-conforming and will be extended by 6 feet. Under surrounding zoning, land use, and character, the property is located in the Forest Park neighborhood and is surrounded on all sides by residential homes zoned R2 single-family residential. Under applicable regulations, section 47.6.4 R2 yard and lot requirements, and 47.19.8 findings of fact supporting a variation, and you could refer to the attachment. Under discussion, the approval of the requested variation would allow a 6-foot by 12-foot addition at the back of an existing home. When the rear room was repaired after sustaining storm damage, the room was expanded to align its south wall with the main wall of the house, and you could see the attached site plan. The existing west wall is set back 18.5 feet from the rear property line. The zoning ordinance requires a rear yard setback of 25 feet. Existing nonconformities are allowed to remain as long as they are not enlarged or altered. Because the construction of the addition extended the length of the nonconforming rear wall, the owner must request a variation to reduce the rear yard setback from 25 feet to 18.5 feet. The addition, which enlarges the kitchen area, has been framed and enclosed but not completed. A permit was pulled for the roof and siding replacement but did not include the room addition. The contractor has submitted the permit for the addition but would need approval of the variation to proceed. The rear of the house will have vinyl siding to match the existing materials. Plat of survey, site plan, and floor plans are attached. Under conditions, we have none, and that concludes our staff report.
Petitioner? I'll swear you in. Do you swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law? You have your name and address.
My name is Jorge Ruiz. I'm representing the homeowner who is one of my customers. He lives at 1321 Arthur Avenue.
Okay, any comments you'd like to make, sir?
No, sir.
Are there any questions by the board? Any comments? Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor? Is there anyone opposed? Chair closes the petition, asks the board for discussion and a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the petition. Pull the board.
Mr. Noctree?
Aye.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Ms. Rohr?
Aye.
Ms. Safford?
Aye.
Mr. Alessio?
Aye.
Mr. McShane?
Aye.
Mr. Hennessy?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that vote to approve is final for that one. Moving on to the next agenda item, 2023-25. The applicant is Ryan Homes, NVR Inc., Mark Gagliano. Status of the applicant is the owner. Owner again is Ryan Homes, NVR Inc. Location is 270404 Deer Creek Drive, and this request is a variation. The petitioner, under purpose, the petitioner is requesting a variation to reduce the required front yard setback from 30 feet to 26.11 feet for a future single-family residential home. Under site-specific information, the foundation for the subject home was poured earlier this year at a front yard setback distance of 26.11 feet. A building permit was issued for this work. The previous plat for Deer Crossing Subdivision Unit 1 incorrectly identified the applicable front yard setback as 25 feet. However, the front yard setback distance for homes in the R1 zoning district is 30 feet. Upon further inspection, all other subsequent homes within the Deer Crossing subdivision will meet the 30 feet front yard setback distance requirement. The subdivision's developer recently submitted a revised preliminary plat for the applicable Unit 1 portion of the Deer Crossing subdivision. The correct 30 feet setback distance has been applied to the revised preliminary plat. Under surrounding zoning, land use, and character, surrounding zoning is all R1B single-family residential. There's all future single-family residential houses proposed for those areas except to the east, which is an open space Ridge Road area. Under applicable regulations, section 47-5B4, yard and lot requirements in the R1B zoning district, section 47-19.8, criteria for granting a variation, and you can refer to the attachment again. Under discussion, approval of the requested variation will allow construction to continue on a new single-family residential home at 2704 Deer Creek Crossing Drive with a 26.11 foot front yard setback in lieu of the required 30-foot front yard setback. Subject property is on a curved portion of Deer Crossing Drive, which will make the difference in front yard setback less noticeable than with other properties. The correct 30-foot front yard setback will be applied to all other properties within the subdivision going forward. Finding of facts needed to support the requested variation as outlined in 4719.8 of the city code establishes hardships that warrants the requested variation. The subject property's previously approved plat contained an error for the front yard setback line. In addition, staff issued the general building permit using the incorrect front yard setback distance. Thought the variation, the petitioner would be required to remove the building's foundation and build to the 30-foot front yard setback distance. Staff does not believe that the proposed setback distance of 26.11 feet will impose any significant health, safety, or welfare concerns. And under conditions, we have none, and that concludes our staff report.
Petitioner here.
Hello.
You swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law.
Yes, sir.
Name and address.
Mark Agliano, representing 2704 Deer Creek Drive, Deer Crossing.
Comments?
No, sir.
Questions by the board? No comments? And then, once again, anybody in the audience wish to speak in favor? Is there anyone opposed? Chair closes the petition, asks the board for discussion. And a motion.
I move we approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the petition. Poll the board.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Ms. Rohr?
Aye.
Ms. Safford?
Aye.
Mr. Alessio?
Aye.
Mr. McShane?
Aye.
Mr. Noctree?
Aye.
Mr. Hennessy?
Aye. Thank you.
And again, that vote for approval is final by the zoning board for that case. Next petition number is 2023-26. Applicant is Alexis Garcia. Status of the applicant is a tenant. The owner is Carlos Santiago. Location is 725 West Jefferson Street. Request is variation on signage. Purpose, petitioners are requesting a variation on signage to reduce the required setback for the modification of an existing legal non-conforming pole sign from 15 feet to 5 feet 9 inches. Sign is located on the subject property at 725 West Jefferson Street. Site-specific information, the petitioner wishes to increase the size of an existing legal non-conforming pole sign from 48 square feet, 6 feet by 8 feet, to 72 square feet, 9 feet by 8 feet. Base of the sign will remain 11 feet high, and the sign's total height will remain 19 feet high. Portion of the new sign will contain electronic message center, EMC, per section 4717.213T of the city's zoning ordinance. Pole signs must be set back at least 15 feet from the property line on all streets. A setback for the existing sign from Jefferson Street meets this criterion, but the setback from Rayner Avenue is only 5 feet 9 inches. Since the existing legal non-conforming sign is being altered in a manner that increases its non-conformity, a variation is required. Surrounding zoning, land use, and character, to the north is R4 and R2 with multifamily and single-family residential uses. To the east is B3 general business. To the south is B3 auto repair use. To the west is R2 and R3 residential uses. Under applicable regulations, section 47-17.213T, setbacks for signs on all streets, pole signs. Section 47-17.223A, non-conforming structures. Section 47-17.223BB2, variation criteria for signs. Section 47-19.8, criteria for granting a variation, and again, there's an attachment for that. Under discussion, approval of the requested variation would allow a new 72 square foot sign to be built on an existing pole sign that is legally non-conforming with respect to its setback from Rayner Avenue, which is 5 feet 9 inches. The EMC portion of the new sign will only be 27 square feet in size, which is allowed without obtaining a special use permit. However, all other code requirements for the EMC portion of the sign will be enforced. Furthermore, since the base of the sign is 11 feet high, the sign will be located above the driver visibility triangle at the northeast corner of West Jefferson Street and Rayner Avenue. Finding of facts needed to support the requested variation establishes a hardship that warrants a requested variation. The pre-existing location of the pole sign, is in addition to the condensed size of the lot, makes this relocation of the subject sign impractical. Since the base of the sign is located above the visibility triangle of the nearest intersection, and since the overall size of the proposed sign is allowed by right, staff does not believe that the sign as proposed would be detrimental to the use, orderly development, and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity. Furthermore, approval of the variation would not be contrary to the objective of improving the overall appearance of the city. Under conditions, we have none, and that concludes our staff report.
Petitioner here. You swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law?
Yes.
Name and address.
Alexis Garcia, 612 Prestige, with US Sound Electric. My customer, Amigo Insurance, they acquired this property this year, so they're looking to use the existing base of the sign. The existing base the sign that's on there is 8 feet 7, so this one would increase by 2 feet. The height would stay the same. It would go 2 feet wide. They're looking to put a new sign with electronic message center to use for their promotions for the insurance company and stuff like that. So I know off of Jefferson, it does meet the requirements of 15 feet, but off of Rayner is 5 feet 9. So that is the issue where they're looking to use have this approved for the new sign.
Any questions?
I have a question for city staff, if that's okay. Is the 72 square foot size, is that within what's already on Jefferson Street, or is that a new large size?
No, it's not oversized. Pole signs in this zoning area could be as large as 150 square feet.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I know we've talked about signs quite a bit, but what, we said that we're eventually going to amend the policy or change it in some fashion to kind of get up to date as to what current technology is. Can you give me an idea of what our current policy is with the LED specifically? We allow the LED.
They are permitted, yeah. We changed that code recently to allow them, as long as they're 50 square feet or less, they're permitted in most business zoning districts. Over that size requires a special use permit through you and through the city council to get approval. But they used to all have to come through here, and we did change that, so they're permitted.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Anybody in the audience wishing to speak in favor? Is there anyone opposed? Chair closes the petition, asks the board for discussion and a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second to approve the petition. Poll the board.
Ms. Rohr?
Aye.
Mr. Alessio?
Aye.
Mr. McShane?
Aye.
Mr. Noctre?
Aye.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Ms. Safford?
Pointer is absent.
Mr. Hennessy?
Aye.
And that vote for approval is final. That does not go to city council. Next agenda item is 2023-27. The petitioner is Alex Garcia, U.S. Sign and Electric LLC. The property owner is Maria Castillo. Location is 365 Ruby Street. Request again is for variation on signage. Under purpose, the petitioner is requesting a variation on signage to allow a projecting sign to extend above the roof line of the building located at 365 Ruby Street, which is the Supermercado Carnitas Don Jose. The Zoning Board of Appeals makes the final decision for this variance request. Under site-specific information, the building on the subject property was built between 1924 and 1938, according to the available maps and street directories. In 1938, Midwest Plumbing and Heating Supply operated here. The building had similar uses throughout the 20th century and early 21st century. In 2013, Supermercado Carnitas Don Jose began renovating the building, and property in the grocery store opened in early 2014. Property is zoned B3 General Business Zoning District. Under surrounding zoning, land use, and character, the subject property is within the Ruby Street Commercial Corridor. Property is surrounded on all four sides by B3 General Business Zoning. There are a mix of uses in proximity to the property, including auto-related, retail, and multiple family housing to the south, east, and west, and a traditional residential neighborhood of single-family and multifamily houses to the north. Under applicable regulations, 47-17.21 signs and 47-17.213BB, criteria for granting a sign variation, and you could refer to the attachment for that. Under discussion, figures 1 through 3 attached show that there has been a projecting sign that extended above the roof line at this location since at least 2008. And this sign was likely there for decades earlier, as this type of sign was common for historic commercial corridors. There were previously 3 separate projecting signs that hung at this location on the building. These projecting signs were damaged in the early 2023 calendar year. The sign proposal consolidates projecting signage into one 50-square-foot sign that is roughly the same size as the previous vertical projecting sign that hung at this location. City regulations require compliance with current sign regulations when a sign is being modified. Since city regulations do not allow signs to extend above the roof line, the petitioner, a sign contractor acting on behalf of Supermercado Carnitas Don Jose, seeks a variance to continue having a projecting sign that extends above the roof line at this location. Conceptual sign elevation is attached to the staff report. Under conditions, we have none, and that concludes our staff report.
Petitioner here. Do you swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law?
Yes.
Name and address.
Alex Garcia, 612 Prestige, with US Sound Electric. So basically, I think the actual proposed sign that was there was 7 feet wide, and it was hit by a delivery truck, so we had to take it down. So the new proposed sign that we're looking to do is actually 2 feet shorter and raised higher. And I think we're just trying to keep the same design of the existing one that was there, just to kind of keep it more of the old school look. And
Okay.
so any questions I can answer as far as.
Do you have any questions from the board? No comments? Once again, anybody in the audience in favor? Is there anyone opposed? Chair closes petition. Ask the board for discussion and a vote.
Move we approve.
Second.
We have a motion second to approve the petition. Poll the board.
Ms. Sanford?
Yes. Aye.
Mr. Alessio?
Aye.
Mr. McShane?
Aye.
Mr. Noctre?
Aye.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Ms. Rohr?
Aye.
Mr. Hennessy?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that vote for approval is also final. Next, petition 2023-28. The applicant is Joseph Bazzelli. Owner is TKD Fox LLC. The location is 521 Oakleaf Court. The request is a special use permit. Under purpose, the petitioner is requesting a special use permit to allow an automotive service and repair business located at 521 Oakleaf Court, Unit D, for the City of Joliet zoning ordinance. Automotive repair facilities are allowed as special uses within the B3 General Business Zoning District. Mayor and City Council makes a final decision on the special use request with the advice of the Zoning Board of Appeals in accordance with Section 47.5.2. Site-specific information. Subject site is 0.73 acres and is located in Oakleaf Center subdivision, which is commercial and light industrial area with warehousing, contractor shops, and other similar businesses. The site contains a 4-unit warehouse building built around 2000 with adjacent surface parking spaces on the north side. A contractor business, Omega Plumbing, occupies the other units in the building. The property is zoned B3 General Business. Surrounding zoning, land use, and character. The properties surrounding the site are all zoned B3 and contain warehouse buildings and various commercial and light industrial uses. Applicable regulations, Section 47-13.2A L, special uses, B3 General Business District. Section 47-5.2C, criteria for issuance of a special use permit, and you could refer to the attachments. Under discussion, the petitioner is requesting a special use permit to allow their automotive repair business, Standard Auto Mart, within Unit D of 521 Oakleaf Court. Standard Auto Mart performs general auto repairs such as tune-ups, brake repair, and interior detailing. The company mainly operates as a business-to-business repair facility, serving small local auto dealerships and other mechanic shops. Business is not open to the public as a walk-in facility. Business owner has been in the repair business for many years and has been at this location since around October 2022. The owner operates this business part-time and has 1 to 2 additional employees. Standard Auto Mart works on approximately 10 to 15 jobs per month. Typical hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. The tenant space within Unit D is approximately 1,500 square feet with 1 overhead garage door. There are around 13 parking spaces adjacent to Unit D available for this tenant. Up to 3 vehicles can be stored inside the facility at one time. Under conditions, if the zoning board desires to approve the special use permit, the following conditions would be included. 1, that no vehicles shall be parked on any unpaved surfaces. That 2, that the cargo container at the west end of the property shall be removed within 30 days of ordinance approval. 3, that a city business license shall be obtained. And 4, should the property be declared a public nuisance, it shall be subject to a rehearing and possible revocation of the special use permit. And that concludes our staff report.
Petitioner here.
Hello.
I swear you in, sir.
Oh, okay.
Do you swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law?
Yes.
Name and address.
Home address, 423 Laurel Avenue in Romeoville.
And, go ahead, any comments you want to make?
Okay, no, we just want to use it for, just a business to business. We don't want no retail customers. I just deal mainly with other dealers. And it's just kind of like a part-time business. I'm kind of like semi-retired and, I just want to, keep having a place to work out of. And this is like the cheapest place I can find without having a big shop anymore. So I had a big shop for years, for about 30 years in Romeoville and in Hinsdale. So,
Okay. Any questions? Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor? Anyone opposed? Chair closes the petition, asks the board for discussion and a motion.
Motion
to approve.
Second. Got it.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Poll the board.
Mr. Alessio?
Aye.
Mr. McShane?
Aye.
Mr. Noctry?
Aye.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Ms. Rohr?
Aye.
Ms. Safford?
Aye.
Mr. Hennessy?
Aye, thank you.
okay, thank you.
And this will go to the June City Council meeting, the 20th of June, for final action. Next petition is 2023-29. The applicant is James J. DeFiley, and they are Manfred. Owner is JWB Property Management and Timber Hill Investor LLC. The location is 22909 West Mound Road. Request is a special use permit under purpose. The applicant, who is the contract purchaser, is requesting a special use permit to allow a logistics terminal at 22909 West Mound Road. The City Council makes a final decision on the special use permit request upon recommendation of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Under site-specific information, the logistics terminal proposal includes combining two properties on West Mound Road into one overall development project. First property is at 22909 West Mound Road and is 4.81 acres in size. Trucking company currently operates at this location. The second property is Lot 1 of Mound Road subdivision and is 9.995 acres in size. City Council approved the record plat for Mound Road subdivision at their January 17th, 2023 meeting. Both properties are zoned I-1 Light Industrial District. Under surrounding zoning, land use, and character, to the north is B3 General Business, and there's logistics terminal currently there. To the south is unincorporated Will County, CSX Railroad line. To the east is I-1 Light Industrial, and that's a future gas station. To the west is I-1 Light Industrial, and that's a vacant land. Under applicable regulations, section 47-14.2A, special uses all industrial districts, and section 47.5.2C, special use permit criteria. Under discussion, Manfred is the contract purchaser of the two properties subject to the special use permit request for a logistics terminal. Manfred is a global supply chain logistics company. Company has 306 branches in 26 countries and have a planned branch network expansion to 330 locations worldwide in 2023. Additional company details have been included in the staff report packet. As shown on the attached conceptual site plan, the properties will be combined and redeveloped with logistics facility containing a 42,700 square foot building with 94 docks, 10,000 square foot office building, 133 truck parking spaces, and 45 passenger vehicle parking spaces. The company may also build on an on-site truck wash. Access to the development will be provided by way of a full movement access drive off Mound Road, located approximately 1,580 feet west of Humboldt Road, and will be aligned with the existing Holland Inc. Trucking Company access drive to the north of the site. This access drive will provide one inbound lane and one outbound lane with outbound movements under stop sign control. According to the applicant, larger tractor trailer trucks will enter and exit the proposed Joliet facility during non-business hours at night, while located deliveries with smaller trucks will take place during normal business hours. The applicant submitted a traffic impact study to IDOT for this project. and the city's engineering division will initiate its review once the IDOT review has been completed. Company makes every attempt to employ sustainable design principles in business operations. The applicant noted that their facilities have solar systems, rain gardens, and electric vehicles. Upon full build-out, Manfred anticipates 200 jobs at this location. Approximately 30% of these jobs will be office staff, while the remaining 70% would be local drivers and the dock team. The proposed office building includes sleeping quarters and a commercial kitchen with a chef. Conceptual building elevations are included in the staff report packet. Future development must comply with all requirements pursuant to the city's zoning ordinance, non-residential design standards, landscaping and screening regulations, and unified tree ordinance. All public improvements will be required by the Public Works and Utilities Departments per the city's zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations. Water and sewer connection fees and development impact fees will be required. A payment in lieu of taxes, the pilot, will be required per the terms of the approved ordinance. The funds collected from the pilot will be used for adjacent city street maintenance. Under condition, if the zoning board desires to recommend approval of the special use permit request, the following conditions would be included. One, that the landscape plan that meets city ordinance shall be submitted as part of the building permit plan set. Two, that the buildings shall comply with the city's non-residential design standards. Three, that the development shall be required to make a payment in lieu of taxes as per terms of the ordinance. Four, our special use permit termination clause for 180 days if it doesn't start. Five, should the property be declared a public nuisance, it shall be subject to a rehearing and a possible revocation of the special use permit. And that concludes our staff report.
Petitioner Hare. Do you swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth on a penalty of law?
Yes.
Name and address.
Name is James DeFilly. I'm the property manager for Main Freight Americas. Property address is 22909 West Mountain Road. Thank you very much for the presentation. I appreciate the consideration for this development. Just to add to some of that, a little bit about Main Freight and what we do in terms of our culture. While we don't shy away from the fact of what our general business is in what we do with being a logistics provider around the world, something that we do that is inherent as part of our culture is try and provide the best facilities for both our team members and to be good stewards of the communities that we go into and be a part of that, as well as provide sustainable solutions to be a good partner with the globe itself, understanding that what we do is move freight around the world. To that point, what we do with our design build facilities is always try and incorporate Class A office space for our team members, give them the best possible physical environment to do their work, be healthy and sustainable and efficient. What we do start to seek in terms of our new design build facilities is either a LEED building certification through the U.S. Green Building Council or Energy Star rating certification for our facilities. Part of what we also do as part of our general plan to reduce our overall carbon emissions footprint is include solar farms, try and reduce and capture rainwater capture for gray water reusage. Electrical vehicle charging is a piece that we incorporate into all of our new sites that we're developing. We do have an on-site chef that does farm-to-table cooking for all of our team members that we do have. Site this size would probably have upwards to about 200 team members in total, so 200 jobs that would come to the area. And with that, we try and feed them healthy farm-to-table meals every day with either having gardens on site or fresh food that's cooked for them every day on a daily basis. Some of the other little things that we're also looking into these days is having on-site beehive farms and things like that to help rejuvenate some of the surrounding areas with our landscape plans and things of that nature.
Thank you. Any questions or comments by the board? Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor? Is there anyone opposed? Chair closes the petition. As the board for discussion and a motion.
I move we approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Pull the board.
Mr. McShane?
Aye.
Mr. Noctry?
Aye.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Ms. Rohr?
Aye.
Ms. Safford?
Aye.
Mr. Alessio?
Aye.
Mr. Hennessy?
Aye. Thank you.
And that will go to City Council June 20th for final action. Next petition is 2023-30. The applicant is Kalpesh Patel, OM Group. Status of the applicant is a contract purchaser. The owner is Fred Akawi and Alan and Sue Winters. Location is 2571 and 2573 Plainfield Road. The request is a special use permit. The purpose is the petitioner is requesting a special use permit to allow a fueling facility located at 2571 and 2573 Plainfield Road. Fueling facility would include an automobile service station and various accessory uses such as a convenience store, drive-up food service, and truck fueling facility. Per section 47-13.2 AN of the city's zoning ordinance, automobile service stations may be allowed as special uses by the mayor and city council with the advice of the zoning board of appeals in accordance with section 47-5.2. Furthermore, staff believes the proposed site meets the site selection criteria set forth in 47-17.26 of the city zoning ordinance pertaining to the location of automobile service stations. Site-specific information: the subject property contains 2 separate lots totaling approximately 3.3 acres. The petitioner would consolidate the 2 lots to create one parcel identification number and address upon future development. Property is currently undeveloped, but it was platted and zoned for commercial development, a B3 general business, as part of the Millennium Square subdivision, which was approved by the city council in 2007. The fueling facility as proposed would contain 16 lanes for standard automobile fueling, with an additional 2 lanes for truck fueling in the eastern portion of the site. Standard fueling lanes would be arranged in a single row as shown in the attached preliminary site plan. 5,390 square foot main building would house a convenience store and small restaurant. Drive-through access to the restaurant portion of the main building is proposed. Final design of the drive-through lane will be required prior to issuance of a general building permit. Truck fueling portion of the site would be located away from the existing residential areas north of the site. Truck fueling area would be designed to accommodate semi-trucks, but the petitioner believes mostly smaller box trucks would utilize this area. The exterior design of the main building is subject to additional design regulations that were enacted by the approval of the Millennium Square Plan Unit Development, PUD, in 2007. The PUD calls for use of red brick and stone on building exteriors, with common design elements on all buildings within the development, providing a uniform theme across all buildings. Photos showing the design of the existing buildings that have already been developed can be seen in the staff report packet. Access to the subject property would be provided off an existing internal access drive to the Millennium Square subdivision, which is located along the east side of the subject property. Petitioner has currently proposed 2 full access points off the internal access drive. The precise location and spacing of these access points is unknown at this time, but vehicular access to and circulation within the site would need to be approved by the city's Public Works Department prior to obtaining a general building permit for the site. An additional right-in access is proposed along the west side of the property off Plainfield Road. Curb cut already exists for this access point. Parking as shown in the attached site plan meets the city's off-street parking requirements for the proposed use. Site will be required to comply with the city's landscaping regulations. Approval of a final landscaping plan by the city forester will be required prior to issuance of a general building permit, and a minimum perimeter landscaping buffers along the northwest, southwest sides of the site, 15 feet and 20 feet wide respectively, will be required. Additional 5-foot wide landscaping buffers will be required along the northeast and the southeast sides of the site. Petitioner has agreed to install additional landscaping as staff sees best fit in areas of the site that might be underutilized or that may require additional buffering to the existing development to the east or the residential development to the south. While the subject properties were originally designed to utilize the existing stormwater detention area located northeast of the site, Public Works staff has requested additional analysis on the stormwater detention needs to the site when fully built out. Approval of an acceptable stormwater detention plan will be required prior to issuance of a general building permit. Under surrounding zoning, land use and character, to the north is B3 and county R3, single family residential. To the east is B3, commercial and stormwater detention. south is R3 Single Family Residential, to the west is R3 Single Family Residential. Applicable regulations, section 47-13.2AN, special uses for general business districts. Section 47-5.2C, criteria for issuance of a special use permit, and you can see the attached petition. Section 47-17.26, garages and automobile service stations. Under the discussion, approval of the requested special use permit would allow development of fueling facility at 2571 and 2573 Plainfield Road. Several items require additional review by city staff before the site plan is finalized for general building permit review, including general site design and access, drive-through lane design, and access design of the main building, final landscaping plans, and stormwater detention plans. However, the subject properties were platted and rezoned for commercial use, which would be provided by the proposed fueling facility. Furthermore, staff believes the fueling facility would meet locationally specific requirements set forth in 47-17.26 of the city's zoning ordinance. All public improvements will be required by the Public Works and Utilities Department per the city's zoning ordinance and the city subdivision regulations. Sewer and water connection fees and developer impact fees will be required. Under special information, the petitioner scheduled a neighborhood meeting at St. John's Lutheran Church at 2650 Plainfield Road on Monday, May 15th at 7 p.m. The petitioner presented information to the neighborhood and those who attended at that meeting. Under conditions, if the zoning board desires to approve the special use permit, staff recommends the following conditions be included prior to issuance of a general building permit. Provision of a final site plan shall be approved by city staff and contain acceptable means of access and circulation. 2, prior to issuance of a general building permit, submission of a final landscape plan shall be approved by the city. 3, prior to issuance of general building permit, submission of final designs for main building with required design elements shall be approved. 4, prior to issuance of general building permit, provision of stormwater management plan, which shall be approved by Public Works staff. 5, should the property be declared a public nuisance, it shall be subject to a rehearing, possible revocation of the special use permit. And then lastly, 6 is our special use 180-day clause would also be included, and that concludes our staff report.
Petitioner here. I swear you in. Do you swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law?
I do, sir.
Name and address.
Name is Christian Kolashevsky from WT Group. We're the architects and civil engineers for the site. And the address is 2675 Praedom Avenue, Hoffman Estates, Illinois, 60192. We thank you for this opportunity to make this presentation, and the first part of our presentation, oh great. Oh. The first part of our presentation is just to show that our existing client has existing facilities throughout the country and are built in relatively stringent communities and are running in a very well-ordered fashion and also very fine presentation to the community itself. So this is in Mesa itself, and so this is an open facility. You can tell that it's more of a southwestern style, but it mimics the size and shape of what we are proposing here. This is the front elevation of that, and it has a food offering just as we are proposing at this facility. Oops. Inside, just open and airy, friendly as well. This is in Orlando, Florida, where we have a facility. Second Orlando facility, again, the same type of format in terms of a food offering as well as a convenience store and the auto fueling facility. This is in Toledo, Ohio, same kind of format. St. John, Indiana, as we come closer to the site. This one, I want to particularly point out that just directly to the right in this photo, to the south of the site, this site actually faces west, is actually a sanctioned butterfly area. And so we worked very specifically with the state Natural Resources Department in terms of lighting and type of directionality, building materials. Also colors were very important that we did not attract into the site. So this one was built and operating and was done in very much compliance with any environmental factors that occurred there. This one is in Wheeling, Illinois. Again, the same type of format where we have the CFL facility on the left-hand side, the auto canopy in the front, and the C-store to the back. This one is Belvedere. This is a rendering of the building itself, which is currently under construction. This one is a much larger facility. This is over 10,000 square feet, where our building is just slightly over 5,000 square feet. And again, some construction photos. This is a new Lennox rendering that is just about to start in construction at Laraway and Schoolhouse Road. This building is very similar in size to what we're proposing here. And then finally, we also have a project that's just in the similar stages as this project, just the beginning stages of zoning in University Park. That will be duplicating the Belvedere facility. And so the whole purpose of this was to show that our owner has many facilities. In fact, these are just the ones we've worked on. They have at least 50 more sites that before we started working with them that they operate. And this is our site itself. You can tell, don't know if this has a pointer, but you can tell that we're just down the street. We're at the bottom right-hand corner, the blue arrow that's pointing down, that's where our location of the site is. So you can see the proximity of not only the mall, but also of the major intersection expressway. This is our site plan itself. One of the things we want to point out is that with combining both parcels, we're 3.3 acres, and we have existing curb cuts on our property. You'll see the curb cut on Plainfield Road is only a right-in, and then the other curb cuts are on the common development road, where we would have the first curb cut is for the auto use, and then the second curb cut is for the CFL use. One of the things that we want to point out, and this is kind of the decorative colored site plan, that what we plan on doing along the north property line, and then I guess you would call it the east property line that's going in the southeasterly direction, we would be providing a 8-foot tall Simtech fence, which is a sound fence that looks like stone, but is actually made of a polycarbonate material designed to absorb sound. And then we would put our landscaping in front of that. Our landscaping is a mixture of a variety of deciduous, but also coniferous landscaping. So our goal in our landscape designs is to provide color and movement throughout the year, and also a continuous screening as well. Our site plan here is shown. Hopefully that the previous pictures show that this is a very high quality development. As the staff report stated, that both in section 14.7-3, we are listed as an allowable special use with the approval of the city council. But more specifically, there's a specific section in your ordinance, 47-17-26, that the staff also stated that we meet the requirements for the placement of an automobile service station. And so we meet those requirements. This property was annexed in 2007 and has been vacant since that time. We see the need for this facility in terms of what we look at in terms of housetops. And the key element is the amount of traffic that goes by the site. A gas station is what's called a siphoning use. It is not a destination use per se. And so it is very, very important for the success of this type of use that there's an adequate amount of existing traffic. The existing traffic on this roadway is a little bit over 22,000 cars a day. This is not a neighborhood road. This is a major thoroughfare for the 22,000 cars a day that pass by this site that would become our customers. And so we, with that analysis, the amount of rooftops, the amount of business, and also the amount of residents, and also the amount of businesses in the area support that this is a good facility, a good location for this facility. We know that the key stops for this is en route to work and en route from coming home. En route to work, we are on the going to work side, which is the best side for a retail fueling facility. Also, on the weekends, there's basically peak periods. On the weekdays, it's the 7 to 8 rush and the 4:30 to 6 rush. But then on the weekends, the rush is mainly at the noon to 2 o'clock areas. And that, the supporting businesses help to provide direction on this road, which also is around the 22,000 daily traffic mark. And so we feel that this is a very good site for this use itself. In terms of the use, it will raise property values in terms of the development. This is going to be a $7 million investment into the facility itself, and also into the community. As a per square foot basis, a retail fueling facility raises the most amount of tax generating dollars on a square foot basis. We have the fuel tax, we have the sales tax, we have also the real estate tax. As we continue with the presentation, the uses are very specific in terms of, we very purposely separate the CFL traffic from the automobile traffic, and then the turning for the U-turn shaped drive-through. We find that is a preferred drive-through where people don't have to go behind the building, that they can actually see where they enter, where they order, where they pick up. And so that's why the site is developed in that way. We, in addition to the sound tech fence, and in addition to the coniferous landscaping, we will also be putting berming along the roadway as well as the landscaping there in itself. One of the things that we want to point out is that we have done facilities for other clients that are directly adjacent to residential areas. We actually have letters. Unfortunately, this is another client, so I can't officially provide these, but we have letters from those mayors that support this use and how well it has run. Hopefully, from the pictures that we've showed previously, the facilities are very well run. Mr. Kalpesh Patel is very involved with his team members and the communities that they run in as well. In terms of the zoning for the facility, it's been pointed out that this is on the allowed list of special uses, and also in the annexation agreement, it was there was a list of prohibited uses, and this was not one of those lists of prohibited uses. So both the annexation agreement and the current zoning allow for this use. We meet the requirements for the placement of a gas station. In terms of the 7 items that you need to meet, The maintenance is impeccable, establishment, a high quality of materials, and the operation will be an asset to the community and will betterment. Using a vacant piece of land that's not generating any tax revenue will also help benefit the community itself. We feel that the immediate area, there's a lot directly to our southeast that is vacant, and we find that when a retail fueling facility is developed, that draws other development, and we feel that that will help fill that one vacant area. Otherwise, all the other properties are already developed around the site. And that's also 2 and 3, the orderly development. Obviously, we think this would enhance the development of that one vacant parcel. Number 4, the adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, etc. We know in terms of utilities, everything is along Plainfield Road in terms of sanitary, storm, water, and electricity. So everything is already to the site itself. The curb cuts are already mandated and are already permitted, so there is no issue with IDOT there. That's already approved curb cut itself. In terms of the actual stormwater, which was mentioned as part of the condition, 2 years ago, the state of Illinois increased the rainfall density. So we know that we have to have some additional underground detention. We know there was some provided for in the detention pond itself, but we will be providing additional underground detention because of the increased rainfall. But also we do kind of a belt suspenders approach to the design of these sites. All our pavement slopes into the site, slopes to stormwater catch basins. Those stormwater catch basins in themselves have a filter that filters out any petroleum type contaminants. So by the sloping, that's step 1, or that's the belt, the filters in the storm catch basins, that's the suspenders. Then we have the storm trap, which is underneath, that helps settle everything out. And then finally, after the storm trap, we have what's called an aqua swirl device, which is a vortex that further takes out any potential pollutants. So we have really a 4-step layering process that we typically do at all of our sites. And so that will be what's happening to any drop of water that's landing on this site will not run off and will go into those filtering systems prior to going to a reduced release rate to the detention facility. So we just wanted to make that very clear as well. Item number 5, take and approve ingress and egress. That already has been approved. And again, as opposed to, let's say, a McDonald's, that is a definite focus, a definite destination use. This is using that people will go out of their way to go to that type of facility. This is a gas station, and if you don't make it safe, and if you don't make it convenient, people are going to go right past to the next gas station. Now, we have done our marketing surveys. We've looked at the housetops. We've looked at the roadway traffic. We feel that this warrants the $7 million investment that would be made into this site. And so with that, we also take into account with our designs, you know, the landscaping, the pavement, all the filtering systems, we feel that the adequate measures have been to minimize any of the traffic congestion because of the type of use that it is. And then number 6, does it conform to the applicable land use? As we stated already, it is on the list, both from the annexation agreement and your current ordinance. And number 7 really doesn't apply because this is our initial submittal, so there has been no rejection for that. Just a couple more slides and then I'll be completed. The floor plan is very indicative of the sites that you've seen before. The food use is on the left-hand side, the gaming area is in the front, the typical C-store and food offerings, and then the cashier is on the right-hand side. There's two types of elevation. This one is more indicative of what the neighboring development reflects in terms of the peaks and the masonry, and we are willing and wanting to work with the staff to meet whatever architectural requirements there would be. So fully masonry bearing building all the way around, four-sided. And then this is in conjunction with the earlier schemes that you saw, that this would be a little bit more in flavor with the speed trek, but again, we would go with either scheme. So we have two alternate exterior elevations, both masonry bearing, both stone, both very high quality buildings. Thank you for your patience during this long presentation, and we're here for your questions.
Questions by the board?
I have three questions for you. The first one, is it true that there's no overnight parking?
Yes, that's a very good point. You will notice that there is no designated even daytime parking. So the concept, and I apologize, does this have a pointer or no? Or okay. As you come in off the side road, you make your left turn, you come around and you loop back to the CFL lane. There is no designated striping for the parking, so the vehicles will be there, they'll be fueling, and then they'll pull out.
Okay.
And so that's for sure. There's no overnight, no daytime parking even.
Again, the next one is, how often will the EPA or Health Department inspect your facility?
Well, the state fire marshal will be there 5 times when we're building the facility. Then they have a 1 yearly to investigate the whole records, but then also there's quarterly that they can come in at any time unannounced that we have to show the records.
And then the last one is, how often will the tanks and the pumps be tested for leaks?
It's a 24/7, 365-day. We have to have a tank monitoring system. It's called a TLS 450 that not only tests the tank, and the tanks are double walled, so there's an interstitial space between the two walls that has a brine solution in that is constantly being monitored. Then the product piping that goes from the tanks to the dispensers are all monitored. The product pipings go into a sump that's below the dispensers. Again, double walled. It's a Bravo sump, and that is monitored as well. So every stage is continuously monitored. And then those records must be available to the state on an on-call walk-in whenever they want basis, as well as the yearly annual report. Make sure we're okay to run over.
Okay, thank you.
Sir?
Any other questions by the board?
Why is it there's not a right out onto Plainfield Road?
We would love a write-out. This is when it was originally annexed in, and I believe that's what was the Department of Transportation's jurisdiction, that they limited to a write-out at that point. So we're kind of set with what we're given with the land. We know with the traffic counts and the movement, especially that morning traffic going towards the expressway, makes this a very, very good site for this use.
Are you willing to make accommodations per request from residents or, I mean, city council in general? The reason why I ask is because there's a lot here, and you see that, I mean, even the drive-through goes right into the pumps. That just seems really crowded. And then you look over to the right, and I'm guessing that's gonna be the diesel fueling with the canopy. And that looks, you know, pretty roomy. But then it's like, what kind of, I mean, I agree that I don't think there's gonna be a lot of semi-trucks pulling up to go in there. But then if there's not a lot of semi-trucks and that's not the people that you're trying to draw out anyways, why do we really need that? So are there accommodations that you're willing, even with the gambling inside?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. One, there's plenty of box trucks on Plainfield Road today.
Do they not fit under regular canopies?
We separate those type of uses from the automobile traffic. We have done surveys, and people in cars do not feel comfortable next to box trucks or even short WB 53 semi-trucks, the shorter day runners is what they're called. And so that's why we very purposely separated, but also quite frankly for the gaming requirements, you need to have a separate canopy itself and show that you are fueling, you're meeting a minimum amount in terms of the fueling for the diesel component.
Okay, well, if we're talking about comfort, I'm wondering how comfortable people feel about not having parking spots, because I saw the whole room light up when you said there's no parking spots, so.
For just the trucks.
Yeah.
And that's very, very purposeful, that this is not a travel.
Can I see can you pull it up over here again, where the picture, can you go back? I'm just curious, I just want to see what it looks like at the other places. Those have parking spot, that last one had,
Right there, that
one does, yeah.
This is a travel center, and this would be for the automobiles. Yes, we have parking for automobiles, but right in this side, this is in Wheeling. You'll see that is a short bed truck there, and there is no designated parking.
I
for
see
the
two
truck.
cars parked right there, though.
That's parking. That's automobile parking. It's not. We definitely have automobile parking spaces. We don't have truck parking.
Oh,
spaces.
okay, because before you said there's no parking, and you said there's no stripes on the. I
heard that.
Right,
Yeah.
but that was an answer to the question specifically for the CFL canopy.
Okay, so then in the regular plan, there is the parking that's gonna be right in front.
Yeah, the parking right in the front and on the side, the right-hand side. We have some in the back and even to the furthest north section.
Yeah,
of the
that seems really tight.
So how much space is between the exit of the drive-through and the canopy?
The exit of the drive-through and the canopy is over 38 feet, which is, in terms of a typical lane in an interstate highway, is 12 feet. So it's wider than a 3-lane highway. And so what we do is we do stop control there. We have a lot of sites like this where stop control and then the person can turn right or left at that point. Yeah, we're very purposeful in terms of the spacing that we put. We have 65 feet from the center line of our dispenser to the front curb. What that allows is for people to be parked at the dispensers, go around those cars, and even someone being able to pull out of the parking space. We know that convenience is the key for a retail fueling facility. If you do not make it convenient, you make it hard to get in and out of any place, then people will just go to the next station. And so this again is 3.3 acres, rather than some of the smaller sites that you see in the older sites, which were only less than half an acre. So this is, again, 3.3 acres, so we've really spread this out, and we put the U-shape purposely like that to make the traffic slow. There's a stop sign, a stop bar right there for them to stop and then to pull out.
Any further questions? Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor?
Maybe
Anyone opposed?
Maybe you could ask, maybe you could ask for a show of hands.
We've already gotten a show of hands. Thank you.
So what are you gonna do when you got 3 18-wheelers pulling in there?
You can't speak from the back like that,
Yeah, you
sir.
can come on up.
You gotta restate your name and.
You've been sworn in, so just restate your
Richard
name.
Boyd, 2574 Crystal Drive. I was just concerned about the traffic. I have a problem getting out on Route 30 with the traffic there now. And my wife definitely has a problem. She has to go around the other direction over onto Eston Road where traffic signals are at to come out because she doesn't trust getting out there because the traffic is whizzing by. If you people have any time, just take a ride out there and visualize the traffic that's there now. What's it gonna be like when you have these trucks and everything coming in and out of there? And over by Denny's, you cannot make a left turn on the Route 30. You only can make a right turn. So these truckers are gonna be jumping the curbs, trying to go left, when they can't go left. And if you get 18-wheelers backed up, they're gonna be backing up on Route 30 and causing somebody to rear end. So just to keep that in mind, if you could. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I have a point of order to make. This is a public meeting and it's also a public hearing. Citizens have a right to address the board, but once they've exercised that right, do they still have the opportunity to speak as often as they wish, or is that up to the discretion of the board?
We don't have legal, here to answer that. I think they have a right to speak again. The first time they spoke was for 4 minutes only. So now, if they choose to speak again, we would.
As long as it's not repetitive.
We would ask for courtesy in understanding that we know they're in opposition, so if it's just repetitive, we would ask for courtesy to know that we realize the opposition, so try not to be repetitive, but they have a right to speak again.
Okay, so if you wish to speak, keep that in mind, please. Come forward.
My name's Steve Tolles, 523 Conant Ave. If you look at all those photos that they just produced, what was the one thing that was missing? It was homes. When you look at the photos that they took of the site, what was the one thing that you saw? It was homes. Again, it's our neighborhood. I'm gonna have headlights shining at me when people are exiting or filling up gas, depending on which way they're parked.
About that.
Again, he stood here and said that property values would increase with this building. Is that for the commercial? Because I find it hard to believe it's going to be for residential. Because who wants to buy a home next to a busy fueling station? Also, he mentioned something about an asset to a community. Which community were you talking to? Nobody here sees this as an asset, because an asset is something that you bring to the community. We already have this in our community. I have never once had an issue when I pull into a fuel station where I have to wait to get gas. There's empty pumps all over the place. Even at 8 o'clock in the morning when I go to the Speedway right down the street where he goes, I never have to wait. They mentioned something about these double line, like it's 100% fail proof. If you've ever been in an airplane, safest form of travel, but they know accidents can happen. So what do? They explain to you, in the event of emergency, this is what we're going to do. He has not once, and I asked him at the meeting on Monday, 3 separate times, in the event something does happen, what is your plan? We're all on wells. We gotta drink, we gotta bathe, we gotta do whatever. Also, as far as every drop landing, water going into the property, I find it hard to believe, I really do, especially with the snow. When you're piling it up on the berms and stuff, you can't dictate which way the snow melts. And that's it, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, as I said, we've already stated, please don't be repetitive.
Absolutely. So we were talking about, the gentleman was talking about traffic. The mall is just west of this area, and Garden Street is that residential street right there. During winter, it's a complete bottleneck because everyone is shopping, going to the mall, the restaurants. So I don't see how that gas station is gonna help with traffic because it's very backed up. And another thing that concerned me that the gentleman said is he started bringing up a repair shop, which on Monday's discussion, we never heard of anything where he said that there was, zoning for a possible repair shop.
There's no repair at this location.
Okay,
That is not correct.
thank you so much.
My name is Lisa Rubenacker, and I live at the end of, I live on down past, by Gaylord and Poplar. And there's a creek that runs right from the gas station, or right behind it, that runs right behind my house. So I don't see that the water's gonna be protected. One, and two, if we're looking at safety, what about a red light? What about a crosswalk for kids who are gonna come from Crystal Lawns over to that gas station? My grandson will be one of them, and I know it. That's all.
Actually, I don't, if somebody from the petitioner would speak to that, what would your comfortability be with providing a stoplight at this location?
That, I could answer that. That is regulated by the state, and the state puts signals in when they're warranted. So when this facility gets up and running, if it's warranted, that traffic counts
The petitioner
require.
has no ability to.
No.
Okay. Appreciate that, Jim.
I would like to reply.
We have
to
some
all
other
of
people
these,
who wanna
but,
speak.
I'll just wait for the whole public comment, but.
You'll be able to rebut after their spiel.
Appreciate
Okay, just in light of your question, we would love it.
Okay.
You haven't been sworn in, sir.
Oh,
You didn't
sorry.
speak before. You swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law.
I do.
Name and address.
Frank Desiderio, 2713 Lakeshore Drive, Joliet, Illinois. If the gentleman could go up there to the map and show us where the ingress and egresses are over there, I see there's gonna be a lot of mess up. When you have trucks coming in over on the far north, I guess it is, on the angle over there, and then they're going to go where? Could you please show me where that is? Because I don't understand where these things are on this map.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, somewhere you have a deceleration lane over on Plainfield Road, and they're gonna only turn right. Is that correct?
Right, the trucks will be coming into this common roadway right here.
Yeah.
And then there is also, as you see, a designated left turn lane, so they could be making a left or a right into here.
Where's the left turn lane?
Sir, right in this roadway, it's clearly depicted, this is the decel portion, this is the stacking portion, right here. And so the trucks are pulling in, they're coming around, and they're making this type of maneuver. They're parked right here. They have a main and a satellite tank, that's why there's 3 islands. And a main and a satellite, so there's only 2 spots for fueling, and then they pull out through here. Hence, that's the need for this radius and the opening width to make sure that a truck can be pulling in as one is pulling out. And so we very purposely separate that from the automobile traffic, which, as I mentioned, this is a going to work site in the morning. So our primary entrance is through here, this deceleration lane coming into our site, hopefully going into the building itself, and then exiting through the automobile exit.
Is there a way, since you only have a right turn coming out on Plainfield, that people could make a left turn going in over there rather than coming all the way down?
No, they have to, this is regulated by IDOT, and so if you're wanting to go southeast, you need to go back to this intersection, this controlled intersection, and make the appropriate left turn.
But there's no controls other than the fact that it's an intersection.
It's a stop sign control that is considered by the state of Illinois as a controlled intersection.
And does that intersection, is there not a grade at that intersection that comes up towards Route 30?
Not a significant grade, no, and we'll be redoing that roadway anyway. I apologize, I'm not on.
No, do you want to get closer to the mic? Go ahead.
Well, I'm just concerned. I think there's going to be a lot of backups over here trying to get out. If there's a couple of semis, 4 semis, whatever, waiting in line, and they all have to come over here, and some of them are going to turn left. And it's going to back up traffic over on Plainfield Road. It's going to pack up traffic in the facility.
One of the elements that is very nice about this site is that we have that common drive. All our traffic will be on the common drive. There will be no backups on Plainfield. There are no outlets on Plainfield other than the controlled intersection. And so there are decel lanes and designated turning areas for that. IDOT is in charge of the safety of those roads, and they have mandated the configuration of the lanes at that point.
And until you really see it in practice, I'm telling you, it's gonna be backed up over there if they try to turn left.
And again, the semi-truck traffic is not what we're going for. We're going for the box and the day runners, and that is our intended customers. And quite frankly, this is not going to be, it's not a travel center. Doesn't have a restaurant, full serve, sit-down restaurant, doesn't have laundry facilities. The guys that are the full semi-trucks with the 75 to 67 wheelbase, they already have their fleet cards that they go to the travel centers that are already on the highway itself.
But it has sit-down gambling.
I'm sorry?
But it has sit-down gambling.
It does, yes.
So I would fill my tank up and then I'd walk in to gamble?
Yeah.
Is that the intended?
Quite frankly, the major patrons of the gaming are local residences, and to be very candid, older folks, and how the state tied trucking to the gaming license, I don't know. But if you look at the customers that are sitting there, you'll see it. They're not the truck.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? You swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law?
Yes.
Name and address.
Andy Doyle. My sister lives at 2516 Garden Street, right there in the middle. It's the back of the garage. Is there a list of contaminants your filters get rid of or remediate? And is there a contingency plan or a plan of attack for a catastrophic failure of the fuel cells? Because there's going to be diesel and gasoline there.
Do you really want this to be a back and forth, or you want me to answer it all in one shot at the end?
Just come on up here.
Yeah, in terms of the list of contaminants, we certainly can get that to the staff and what the products that we are using do. And certainly it will cover all the chemicals that are on the site itself. I apologize, the second part of that question, I forgot that.
In case of a catastrophic failure of your fuel cells, what's the plan?
What again is that everything is constantly monitored. If there's any issue, there's automatic alarms that go directly to Mr. Kalpesh's phone, as well as to the manager's phone. Everything automatically shuts down. It is totally automatically shut down. Also, what we could do with the underground tanks is do a lining system that's in there. The state fire marshal doesn't require that because they know how trustworthy the new technologies are. This is not the old days of steel tanks and single wall tanks. So the technology is totally advanced. Your state fire marshal has the third most stringent requirements in the United States of America. Only third to California and to New York City proper.
Okay, thank you.
And then whenever it's appropriate, I can respond to the other comments.
Vince Logan, County Board, District 7. One question that I would probably want to know, and I asked and I could not get an answer Monday, was Levidia, which according to that diagram would be the bottom right. Levidia is a cross street, it goes through the residence. There is a weight limit on that street. I'd be curious to see if an 80,000 pound truck or even a 24,000 pound box truck could actually go on that street, and what plans do they have to rebuild it, because the surrounding streets are 5-ton weight limits. Also, in another point of contention, during the meeting, the petitioner stated multiple times that it's not a truck stop. According to legislation, and I have the statute here, 230 ILCS 40-5, it is a truck stop. according to the definition of a legislator. And that has to do with how far it is from the highway, the size of the acreage, and the amount of diesel that it has to sell. And all that surrounds having those 10 gaming machines that are inside. So those would be two questions that I would probably want answered. So thank you.
You want a final rebut?
In terms of the street limits, we've repeatedly said that we know and we will be rebuilding that common driveway, which is a private driveway. We are confirming if there's a ownership association or just directly with the owner of the property. So that roadway, and we're talking the roadway on the side, the bottom of the property there, would be rebuilt to meet any of the truck requirements in terms of loading, impact, anything like that. In regards to the truck stop, true, from a gaming perspective, this is listed as a truck stop. What I was trying to imply in terms of when you see a travel center truck stop, that you have 100 to 200 truck parking spaces, you have full sit-down restaurants, and you also have the laundry facilities, the showering facilities. Those are a true travel center facility. And this is not that. This is a local facility made for the local traffic that is on the site currently today. Should I go over the other points, or should I
Yes,
wait?
if you wish, go ahead.
The other points is a concern about traffic. This is the best use for that. This is a siphoning use. You know yourself that you're sitting on your couch watching TV and you don't think, oh, my car is low on gas, I gotta go to the gas station. No, you're going to work, you're coming home from work, or on the weekends, you're doing your errands in terms of, shopping and all that. That's when you fill up your car. That's proof positive that this is a siphoning use for the patrons of our facility. The other uses that are being offered on this facility support that primary customer use of the site itself. And so that handles all the comments about the traffic and the backup, the comments about the concern of failures. Again, everything is protected. Immediate alarms go off and the whole system shuts down. This is not my client, but just down the road, a little further northwest, I had another client that we built across the street from the United States renowned rookery. And we dealt with every EPA issue that was there. And you talk about concern about poisoning the water. These are just not true statements. And we're across the street right now operating a very nice facility, a different client, but we know how to do it correctly. So there is no concern with those issues. We have it proved. We proved it in St. John's, across the street from the Butterfly Sanctuary. We proved it across the street from the nationally renowned. People fly in during the nesting season to look at this facility, and we're right across the street from it.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Leslie Grimes. I hope I'm not trying to be repetitive, but do you see that the first evergreen or whatever it is, my little grandson can hit that with his soccer ball. That's dangerous. This is city council, zoning, whatever. Be here for us. That is dangerous. He said, all those things over there, those are parking spots over there. You can't tell me. I see it all on the south side, all on the other side. He admitted this is a truck stop. You're gonna have everybody sitting over there doing drug transactions in the parking lot. And every last one of you know I'm right. You have prostitution over there. Everything over there shuts down at 9 o'clock. If he's shutting down at 9 so we can go to sleep, I have no problem. I'll even shut up and be done with it. But how How are we supposed to go to work and go to school? Everything over there on that street shuts down at 9 o'clock. The mall, all the restaurants, all the business, everything shuts down. So you're gonna tell me that this neon light thing, I don't care how bright and how muffled the lights are, they're still gonna be up. 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. Come on, you still got people that's gonna be strangling there. Unless you got a cop that's gonna sit there 24/7, every last one of us in here know we're gonna have problems out here. We're gonna have big problems out here. We live here. I asked the man, what are you actually bringing to us? We got gas stations, we got gaming. You're doing that for the traffic. You haven't gave Crystal Lawn one little thing that we don't already have. Please think about us. We worked hard to have this. He want to catch that traffic. There's a lot of other places he can catch the traffic. Thank you. Please think about us, not the big corporations. Think about the little guys who worked hard to get where we at. I'm sitting there looking out my door, and I'm seeing the gas pumps right there. My little boy play right there. A truck came this morning and stopped there, right in the middle. I said, oh my God, it started already. A semi just sitting there in the middle lane where you turn off into my house at. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's very unsafe. And most of all, it was scary as I don't know what, because he sat there and I was scared. I was scared, and I shouldn't have to be scared where I make my living at, where I live at. That's wrong. Thank you.
Okay, the chair is going to close the petition and ask the board for discussion and a motion.
I move we deny.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to deny the petition. Poll the board.
Mr. Noctree?
Aye.
Mr. Riggs?
No.
Ms. Rohr? Aye. Ms. Safford?
Aye.
Mr. Alessio?
Aye.
Mr. McShane?
No.
Mr. Hennessy?
No.
So recommendation for denial will go to the city council, and I want to note this, that it won't go to June. It's planned for the July 18th meeting with a recommendation of the zoning board's decision to deny. And the reason it's skipping the June meeting for those in attendance is they want to add an amendment to the existing annexation agreement to allow packaged liquor sales. So they have to go to Plan Commission in June for that. And then they both will proceed to City Council on July 18th. So just want to make a note of that. Moving on. Okay, I was just corrected on that. So the annexation agreement amendment for packaged liquor sales will be in the July Plan Commission meeting date. So it would go to City Council, all of this, if it stays on course. And please check back on our agendas online. This would go to the August 22nd meeting, 21st and 22nd meeting. Wait, hold on a second. No, there's a Tuesday meeting on the 1st, so it'll be August 14th and 15th when it all goes to City Council. Check back on our agendas to make sure it's running as planned, but that is what I have for you at this time, with recommendation for denial of the special use permit. Moving on through the agenda here now, new business not for final action or recommendation. We have none. Public comments, anybody wanting to speak regarding non-agenda items are allowed to speak for 4 minutes. Is there anyone wanting to speak on non-agenda items? Seeing none. We have, let's see, next order of business would be adjournment.
Motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved. Second.
Poll the board.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Ms. Safford?
Aye.
Ms. Rohr? Aye. Mr. Alessio?
Aye.
Mr. McShane?
Aye.
Mr. Noctree?
Aye.
Mr. Hennessy?
Aye.
And for those in attendance here for Plan Commission, we're going to take a 10-minute recess. And so Plan Commission is going to start at 4:30 today rather than 4 p.m.